You love you some Rowdy. Let me hear you go. Boom.
Hello everyone, I'm AloneRacecar and welcome to the show. And today we're going to be playing Forza Motorsport 7, or more specifically, an 18-lap race around Homestead Miami Oval in tribute to Kyle Busch, who, as you might have heard, is sadly no longer with us. And so, I thought it might be cool to do this little Forza 7 race in his iconic number 18 M&M's Toyota Camry. And whether if you knew Kyle Busch from his young babyface rookie years, or his prime villain era, or his late anti-hero phase, everyone is welcome here. Okay, let's do this. Okay, here we are, the rolling start now. 18-lap race. Alright, here we go. And we're off on this little NASCAR race. Of course, you probably might have noticed we're also sharing the grid with some GT cars too to make it a little interesting, yeah? And as you can sort of see, we also have to take a mandatory pit stop. So we also got to be aware for cars that might swerve in to take their pit stop, or, you know, come out of the pit too, since we're racing on an oval. Just got to be wary as we are approaching the pit lane on this first lap here. Hard to tell who's going to go in first, you know? Especially coming that early. But yeah, we just got to do what we can do to, you know, draft our opponent and overtake them as we can. At the right opportunity, of course. Now, the Toyota Camry has always been the car to represent Toyota in the NASCAR Cup Series ever since May's debut in 2007. And sure, it has gone through many different changes, but the Camry has always remained the model to represent the manufacturer, you know, up till this day of recording. Where unlike Chevy and Ford has always had changed their cars and models all the time. And yeah, plenty of notable drivers have driven a Camry throughout their career, such being Michael Waltrip, David Ruttman, if I'm saying his name right, Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., and of course Kyle Busch, who was actually Toyota's first race winner and champion too. Yeah. So when Mom told me about the news of Kyle's passing and also sent me an article about it, I, like many people, was quite shocked about it. Especially just because that I grew up, you know, being a NASCAR fan, and Kyle Busch was one of the many drivers who I had liked and also recognized while, you know, being a fan of NASCAR. Especially since, you know, during his time of driving number 5 Kellogg Chevy. And yeah, from what I've read up on, right after he had took what will be his final race victory, he had reports of not feeling so well, and as he was preparing himself on the racing simulator for his next big race, he wasn't being very responsive, that he had to be hospitalized, which then later, you know, we found out that he had a severe case of pneumonia that eventually led on to having sepsis, if I'm saying that right, which is like an infection towards your immune system, and hours later, he was gone, just like that. And he was 41 years old. And sure, I understand that is a kind of bit of an old age for a race driver, but it's also a rather early age to have your life to be cut short, especially from the way how Kyle had went. It's such quite a tragedy, and I do give out my condolences to his family, friends, and all the rest of the fans and motorsport world who still mourns his passing. Okay. We're now about to come up onto lap number 8 now. And while I'm going about it, I want you guys to do me a favor and hold out 8 fingers for me, would ya? To salute his number that he raced, during his late stages of his career in the Cup Series. Just like what everybody did at the Coca-Cola 600. It's almost kind of like very similar to how everyone did so after when Dale Earnhardt passed with holding 3 fingers for his number 3 car. Yeah, people doing the same for Kyle Busch. Okay, coming on to the 9th lap now. Ooh, that's a little dangerous merge right there. Yeah, since we're kind of right in the middle of the race now, I think I'm going to go and come in for my pit stop now. Just trying to get myself in a position and slow down, but hopefully I don't want to just crash right into me. Okay, here we go. Looks like some of the people behind me haven't pit yet, although some are coming in right now. So even if I come out, the other people might pass me, still have to take theirs yet. I imagine whoever's in 11th might just be the ones who already took their pit already, so. Alright, coming out now. Okay, here we go. Out on the track now. Guess I'm actually gonna merge the proper way this time, yeah? That's probably if it were a real NASCAR race. Whoa, easy there. Okay. Alright, so what can I tell you a little bit about Kyle Busch? Well, Kyle Busch is, depending on who you ask, is regarded as a generational talent of a driver. He was the 2005 Cup Series Rookie of the Year, and he also went on to win the championship twice in 2015 and 2019. Kyle Busch is also the younger brother to Kurt Busch, who was also a champion himself back in 2004. Now, the brothers didn't race in the same team, so you can almost say that they had a bit of a somewhat sibling rivalry out on the track. Yeah. And also, I shouldn't forget that Kyle Busch was also pretty famous for his foot-to-the-floor aggressive driving and his somewhat larger-than-life passive-aggressive personality. Not just an understatement. But still, Kyle Busch definitely was regarded by fans as quite a bit of a villain into the sport. And he definitely really embraced it quite well, and also didn't hesitate to rub it into other people's faces too. Yeah, it definitely also cemented his persona as Rowdy. Actually, speaking of the Rowdy name, the name actually originated from Rowdy Burns from Days of Thunder, and I assume that Kyle Busch must have looked up to this character. And once he definitely had that sort of heel turn when he left Hendrick Motorsports and his stardom quite grew, I think that's definitely where the Rowdy name definitely became a lot more prominent, because he always liked to be that outsider villain, besides the corporate, cutout drivers and all that. Yeah. But regardless of being a villain, Kyle Busch definitely respected as for being one of the more well-accomplished drivers across, NASCAR, for winning a combined 234 race victories across all of the top 3 NASCAR series, from the Cup Series, the National Series, and the Truck Series. And yeah, Kyle Busch may not have been my favorite NASCAR driver, but he certainly was a driver who I recognized, from the time I grew up, liking NASCAR. And yeah, doing this race for Rowdy, do it for Kyle, do it for Rowdy. All right, yeah. Throughout this race, I've been keeping an eye on my mini map for who's going to be coming into the pits, and also to keep an eye on the little pop-ups for who might be coming in for the pit stop. And yeah, I know you can't quite see it, but it's more like one of those blink and you miss it, or it also could just be right underneath me too. So, all right, ooh, a little light on there. Okay, looks like the leader's pitting right now, and right now just taking second. Let's see, that Lamborghini might be the leader here. Try to go for the overtake on this bank turn here. And textbook, we are now in the lead now, baby. Just making time for the final lap. Alright, just hanging on now. Let's hope that Lambo keeps his distance, yes? Of course, this car has way more power than what the GT car has. Let's come on to the final lap now. Just hanging on one more time. Especially coming onto the back straightaway. And doing so in style. Okay, this is it. The final bank turn of this race. An 18-lap race in the number 18 Toyota Camry that gave us a champion and icon, as we're now crossing the line for Kyle Busch, baby. Oh, wow, did not expect that. Saying those words out loud would almost make me welt up on that. Definitely that kind of lump on that throat. And, yeah, I'm still very shaky about that too. Yeah. But you know what? You know, nice how we just get the whole race, all that time, and yeah, and stay out of trouble at the same time. Even though Kyle Busch did like a little bit of aggression, but you know, yeah, that's kind of not my style when it comes to making these videos. Alright then, let's dive into some action shots from the race replay while enjoying some M&Ms, you know what I'm saying? Okay, that'll do it for the video. I hope this 407 race does justice when it comes to celebrating the life and career of Kyle Busch, especially when it comes to the mark that he had left on the sport. Now, I understand some people don't really like Kyle Busch because of his villain antics, but sometimes we're reminded that people like to play a character for the sake of sport. And also, we're also reminded that sometimes life can be quite short and fragile. But at the same time, that kind of gives us that drive to make every bit of it when it comes to both racing and life in general. But anyways, guys, I've done my part. This was AloneRacecar, and I'll see you in another one.
Why do these moments never get old, Kyle?
Because you never know when the last one is, you know. So I know all too well, unfortunately, with the Cup stuff, but...